What's good, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back. First thing first, shout out to FP1 Will with the video. All credit goes to him. Shout out to him. How bad is Lance Stroll? So apparently, for the last few races now, it's been a lot of talk about Lance Stroll. And obviously, you guys know me. I don't really mind him. Obviously, his dad plays a big part of his F1, journey right now. So stuff like that. I know he wasn't the greatest this past weekend. Alex, I know he's had some issues as well as past few weeks, but first thing first, can you just talk about how hot that freaking race in Qatar was this past week? My gosh, people are sweating. It was hot, it was hot, very, very, very hot race. Personally, I don't really like that in terms of the athletes because I wouldn't want to see athletes getting dehydrated or falling out from the heat, stuff like that. So. Jeez, it was crazy, absolutely crazy. But we are finna check it out. We are finna see what's on. But let's just see what's going on with Lance Stroll. Don't forget to like and sub. But yeah.
So it's been a while since I've done one of these videos. Of course, if you remember back, it was the one on Romain Grosjean a few years ago that helped put me on the map in this F1 space. Then, of course, he blew up and everyone hated on me for it. Lance Stroll, the Canadian, has been a divisive member of the paddock since he joined the sport back in 2017. And though the pressure has seemed to have eased in the last couple of years, the arrival of Fernando Alonso appears to have exposed Daddy's boy all over again. Hey there guys, I'm Will, welcome to FP1, and I'm sure you're all expecting a comedy review for the Hungarian Grand Prix around now. Though, as you watch this, I'm probably arguing with a Ryanair employee trying to get home from the race, so you're going to have to wait a while, I'm afraid. To whet your appetite, let's break down the recent struggles of Lance Stroll and work out if he still deserves a seat at the pinnacle of motorsport,
Lance,
or if he ever deserved one in the first place.
What we do here is go back.
Lance Stroll's junior career was not bad. Best way you could sum that up. After winning a slew of karting championships in the late noughties and early 2010s, Stroll progressed into cars at the beginning of 2014. By this stage, he'd made so much of a name for himself, he was already enrolled in an F1 junior program, which is a positive sign. Clearly, someone far cleverer and better at decision making than me has seen something in this guy. Should I now mention that team was Ferrari? Regardless, Stroll's initial foray into car racing went pretty well, winning the Italian...
Imagine Lance Stroll at Ferrari right now. I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
In F4 championship in his first attempt, even after being forced to sit out of the final round due to injury. That all sounds relatively promising, though Lord Mahavir was a regular point scorer in this series, so that tells you all you need to know about the competition out there. Some real challenge would come the following year, when Lance progressed up to the Formula 3 European Series. Now he was against the likes of George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Jesus. The list goes on and on. Stroll performed admirably here, taking one win and ending the season 5th in the standings. He also did this that year, though I've covered that cesspit of a weekend in the video already. Lance would remain in the championship heading into 2016, this time dominating and ending the season 187 points clear of the nearest competition, though team orders may have had a small hand in that. At this point, whilst most drivers here would make the step up to something like Formula 2, Lance had other ideas.
2017 Williams Martini Racing drivers will be Valtteri Bottas and Lance Stroll.
Okay then. Making the jump from F3 to F1 wasn't completely unheard of at the time.
You know what's crazy? I always forget Lance Stroll race with Williams. Always. I always forget that. For some reason, before now, somebody asked me, name the teams Lance Stroll had driven for, I would have just said Aston Martin. But I forget. And Valtteri was his teammate. I always forget that.
Sid from Ice Age here had done the same thing just a couple of years prior, but he was Max Verstappen. So what was really going on here? Well, the $80 million from Stroll's dad Lawrence likely helped sweeten the deal, especially given how low Williams' budget was at the time. As such, public reception towards the rookie Canadian wasn't particularly great, and remember we're talking about the days before F1 Twitter here. Lance wouldn't do himself any favours after failing to finish the opening 3 rounds of the 2017 season, though there were moments of potential. Take a shock debut podium at the Azerbaijan round for example, or a phenomenal qualifying performance at Monza, which helped Stroll gain notoriety for his wet weather prowess. Come 2018, the Williams team are entering their death throes, and a new teammate in the form of B-Tech Nikita Mazepin allowed Stroll to slide relatively under the radar. Maybe though, that was for the best. Only 6 points all year, dwarfing in comparison to the 40 he picked up in his rookie campaign. The Strolls were gradually getting fed up of the Williams performance on track as well, and thus began to look elsewhere for a seat ahead of the 2019 season.
Okay, but even though the Williams car wasn't that great, who was still driving the car though? Lance. But there's only so much a driver can do, which I get, but if you're finished with only 6 points. Oh.
When the Force India outfit went into administration halfway through 2018, the perfect opportunity arose. A consortium led by Lawrence Stroll bought out the team, and Lance's appointment as one of its drivers became the worst kept secret in Formula One history. The backlash to this decision was arguably even more volatile compared to Stroll's initial appointment at Williams in 2017, not helped by the fact that this saw highly regarded Frenchman Esteban Ocon forced to sit on the sidelines for a year. Ocon had managed to work his way into Formula One on a significantly smaller budget compared to the average driver, and now many thought that the better racer was being left by the wayside because Lawrence was able to throw his money around. Stroll would therefore need to prove the doubters wrong in 2019, and whilst he was better, he'd end the year on less than half the points of new teammate Sergio Perez. So with Lance Stroll hate at an all-time high, maybe it was a good thing fans were banned from the circuits in 2020. Though Lance's Racing Point team had a trick up their sleeve that year. When the RP20 first rolled out of the garage, many noticed that it bore a striking resemblance to the previous year's title-winning Mercedes. This widely split opinion among...
Wait... Yeah, it's crazy.
The fan base in the paddock, but for Lance Stroll, there was nowhere to hide anymore. The performances were much better, topped off by a fantastic pole position in the rain at Turkey. Stroll actually led for a lot of that race, before #blessed and the silver rocket ship sailed off into the distance that day. But people were finally starting to come around towards Lance. It takes skill to take your car to pole position, especially one that isn't an outright front-runner and in the wet conditions. Stroll's stock was gradually increasing, despite the fact that he still entered the year miles off Perez, who finished 4th in the standings with a win to his name. But then, it would all come crashing down again. As mentioned, Perez was having arguably one of the best seasons of his career. The same couldn't be said, however, of Sebastian Vettel. The Ferrari driver was announced to be leaving the team before the 2020 campaign even began, and Lawrence Stroll sniffed an opportunity. September 2020 would see Sergio Perez announce that he was leaving the Racing Point team at the end of the season, with Vettel soon confirmed as the Mexican's replacement. Now, in normal circumstances, if you had a driver P4 in the standings and another in P11, it would be the weaker driver that was on the chopping block. But when that weaker driver is also your son, people got mad again. Thankfully for Perez, his career was saved at the brink by Red Bull. As for Lance Stroll and the now renamed Aston Martin Formula One team, they were actually in a pretty good position. The hate aside, Lance found himself in a bit of a win-win situation. For arguably the first time since his rookie season in 2017, he was up against a teammate who was a known quantity. Either he was trounced by 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, in which case, fair enough, he's a 4-time world champion, or he ends up beating Seb, which kinda speaks for itself. The AMR 21 fell behind its rivals as the season pushed on, but Stroll and Vettel were relatively evenly matched, Seb narrowly beating Lance by just 9 points, though you have to concede it would have been much larger had Vettel not lost his P2 at Hungary that year. New regulations for 2022 saw Aston Martin get things all wrong, though Seb again was able to extract that little bit more out of the car compared to his teammate. By the end of that season, however, opinions on Stroll seemed to have waned somewhat. As I said, he wasn't necessarily expected to ever beat Vettel, just get close enough to not look completely useless. Sebastian obviously...
How would you guys rank Lance Stroll this year? sorry, from I was from the start to Qatar, like on October 13th, Friday the 13th. How would you guys, rate Lance Stroll's season this season? I don't think it's been that great personally. There's been times it's been like a 1, 2, 3. Okay, I see some there, but Fernando has been much, much better than Lance
Obviously
Stroll.
retired at the end of that year, presenting Stroll with arguably his toughest challenge yet in the form of Fernando Alonso. Now you might argue that Stroll was again in that win-win situation he had with Seb before, and maybe he was, in which case it's all the more embarrassing that at the midpoint of 2023, he still seems to somehow be losing. Aston's performance jump coming into this year caught everyone by surprise, especially for Lance Stroll, who was so shocked he fell off his bike just before the season began in Bahrain. The fact that he was even able to race at all for round 1 shows true strength and character for the Canadian.
That's facts.
Guess it's tough then that I couldn't give a shit. On paper, Stroll's performances look pretty decent. Regular points finishes, not bad. Until you compare them to Alonso's streak of podiums and a 93-point deficit after 10 rounds of the season. The battle for second best in the championship is also closer than ever, and this is really where the problem lies for Daddy Stroll at the moment. If Aston Martin had 2 strong drivers, that P2 in the championship would be there for the taking. Not to mention the host of strategy benefits if Stroll's pace was even remotely close to that of Alonso's. The truth is, it just isn't. And with Mercedes, Ferrari, and even now McLaren snapping at Aston's heels, Stroll's lackluster results could at worst see the team dip to 5th by the end of the year. And even for a billionaire like Lawrence Stroll, that might just be a little too much in loss of prize money to handle. So where is this deficit between Aston's 2 drivers coming from? Well, by the looks of things, it seems to be in qualifying. Stroll can handle himself in the wets, though when the sun comes out, he just can't compete. Admittedly, the Canadian has begun to inch closer to Alonso in the last few races, though with Aston's advantage not as big as it was, is it all a little too late? From a racing perspective, the pair are a little closer here, but as I say, it's those losses in qualifying that prevent Stroll from fighting at the front with his teammate at the moment. For now, Alonso and the team seem to be supportive of Lance, to the point where I almost wonder whether Fernando did more harm than good by touting Stroll as a quote future world champion earlier in the season. I wonder if the pressure's just ramping up on the Canadian and it's reaching breaking point. Let's return then to that question I asked at the start of the video. Does Lance Stroll deserve a seat in Formula 1? Well, at times, yes he does. Though right now, I can think of far better drivers not currently on this grid who could do a better job. And for the first time, I think Lawrence might be coming to that conclusion as well. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'm curious to know what you think of Lance Stroll down in the comments section. Post
That's looking embarrassing to get fired by your own dad. Ooh. I think Aston Martin are dropping because obviously Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren's gotta be past them. The way they've been racing past like few races. Mercedes, I think that's 4 right there. I don't think Alpine. Not for Romeo, not Williams, not Haas. Not for Taurus. So yeah, they're about 5th. Yeah, they're about 5th or 6th. They're about 5th. Fernando's keeping them boys up, man. That strong start to the season ain't looking too strongish now. Nah. Anyway, hope you guys did enjoy the video. Don't forget to like and sub as well as always. Take care, stay amazing, and as always, peace.